The way the war in Afghanistan ended left a bad taste in everyone's mouth, to include myself, right? As a veteran of that war, I know exactly how that defeat, that's exactly what it is, guys. It was a defeat. I know exactly how that defeat feels. However, from every defeat, there is a lesson that could be learned from it. So today, I want to talk about 5 things that you as a Special Forces candidate going to selection can learn from the Taliban. Guys, the number one thing that you as a Special Forces candidate can learn from the Taliban is commitment. The conflict in Afghanistan lasted approximately 2 decades. And even though they were going against a superior force, they still stayed committed to the cause, all right? Fighting over and over again. Even though we slaughtered them, they just kept popping up, right? It was fucking ridiculous, right? So how can you apply that to your journey towards Special Forces assessment and selection? You need to be committed. You need to literally sleep, eat, and fucking breathe Special Forces assessment and selection. Guys, you gotta want it bad enough to the point where no one's gonna be able to take you off that course. You gotta be willing to literally die there if you have to, right? You oftentimes, some of the guys that I've interviewed on here, you always hear them say, hey, there was no plan B. That's how committed you have to be, right? If they want you out of that course, they literally have to physically remove you. That's the type of commitment that you need going into Special Forces assessment and selection if you want to succeed. Next thing that you can adapt from the Taliban, guys, is going to be adaptability. I can tell you this right now, guys. The 20 years that we spent in Afghanistan fighting, our strategy has changed so much. It's ridiculous. We went from doing coin, where we did a modified unconventional warfare campaign, to direct action, to freaking FID. Like, we were confused, right? But at every level, as we shifted, so did they. They adapted and they kept fighting. As a Special Forces candidate, you're gonna be faced with a lot of different things when you go to selection. Things are going to change at the click of a button, right? You got to be able to adapt. If you don't, you're going to find yourself literally on the outside looking in as your buddies are progressing with the course and you are getting dropped and returning back to your duty station. Guys, I'm also working on these shirts for you guys, right? Probably within the next week or so, I'm going to roll them out. It doesn't matter if you're running and gunning. It doesn't matter if you're typing TPT report in the back office. Whatever it is, guys, show up and do work, right? That's what the meaning behind this shirt is doing whatever it is that you're doing and giving it 110% plus some. Let's move on to the third thing that all Special Forces candidates could learn from the Taliban. The next thing you guys can learn from the Taliban going into Special Forces assessment and selection is going to be resourcefulness. Guys, 20 years and they face the United States of America as a freaking superpower. On top of that, we had a bunch of other coalition members, right? And I remember going into this vividly with guys that were around me, joking about how we're fighting guys with flip-flops and man jams. And 20 years later, they still have their country. The insurgency is still going on. And we left embarrassed in a matter that really didn't represent what the United States stood for, right? This segment is brought to you by Beret At any given time, guys, if you're interested in going to Special Forces assessment and selection, go to Beret and check out the prep courses. That'll also give you access to the Discord, right? I also have the Body by J workout program over at Beret Chronicles, guys, where we work out to look good naked, all right? I have 3 different tiers. One involves me posting my workouts on a daily basis. The second one involves me doing just that and providing supplement feedback. And the third one allows me to custom made a program just for you. All right. While you're on there, guys, make sure you subscribe for the newsletter. That is my way of giving you guys extra content and bringing extra value to you guys. All right. So again, that's GreenBeretChronicles.com. Let's get back to the episode. I remember running and gunning, fighting against those dudes on bicycles and motorcycles with AK-47s, right? And the resourcefulness that those guys had was crazy. Now, I know they've been fighting since their very existence, but their ability to think outside the box and come up with plans, whether it's VB-IEDs or motorcycle-borne IEDs or freaking drone IEDs. It just blew my mind, right? So you have to be as resourceful as the Taliban, especially once you hit Special Forces Assessment and Selection, right? I remember a story about a guy while I was at selection. He took all his clothes off to go through Scuba Lake, and on the way back, he lost his boot. So he still had to finish the course. So what he did was he grabbed a bunch of socks and he layered them. He put them on the sole of his feet, and he grabbed some duct tape and he taped it to his feet as if it was his shoe. And then he took off running and he finished the course. That's the level of resourcefulness that you got to have going into this, right? Last but not least, guys, I want to talk to you guys about the mental strength of the Taliban. Dude, I remember hitting an objective, coming in, we would freaking prep the area, right? Because we can see them through the ISR platform. So we'll go in prior to landing. We would have the gunships just prep the entire area to make sure that no one was going to attack the helicopters whenever we approach the DZ. I'm talking about we just freaking, like, all the enemies that we saw that was shooting at the birds, just laid waste to them, right? Like, we would hit the objective, cleared through, and there would be like 30 or 40 bodies, right? Just dudes that are gone. We would go through, clear the entire village, strong point, and then we would leave 24 hours later, and they were still shooting at us. There was still dudes out there fighting. You know what I mean? Now, can you imagine, like, you just watch your dad, your brother, or whoever just get slaughtered, and then you're still willing to fight, pick up a weapon, and fucking shoot at the enemy again, right? That's how mentally tough those guys were. And that's how mentally tough you need to be going into Special Forces Assessment and Selection. You're going to have setbacks, right? There's going to be things that don't go your way. You're going to fail at something at Special Forces Assessment and Selection. Nobody goes through and crush the entire thing. That shit doesn't happen, guys. It's meant for you to run into those obstacles and then find a way to overcome them, right? So if you want to be successful, guys, you got to have that mental toughness. You got to have that mental strength going in, right? I hope this video was helpful. I'm a big fan of studying my enemy and learning their strengths and weaknesses. That's what makes us so good as Green Berets. You got to know your enemy. You got to know what their strengths are. You got to know what their weaknesses are, right? Only then can you truly defeat them. That's one of the things that we didn't really do as well when we went into Afghanistan. We didn't realize the level of commitment that these guys had, right? We were fighting a quick war. They were fighting a long war. They were willing to wait us out, and that's exactly what they did. So I hope this was helpful, guys. If I missed anything, let me know in the comment section below. If you got any value out of this video, guys, like and subscribe. Until next time, take care of yourself.